Today's roundup begins with Tom Aspinall reacting to recent comments made by UFC President Dana White following UFC 324. After the event, Dana White was asked by reporters if there were any updates regarding Aspinall's ongoing eye issue and whether a rematch was currently being discussed. However, White appeared cautious in his response, seemingly hesitant to go into detail due to the controversy and scrutiny that surrounded the topic the last time it was addressed publicly. Shortly after the event, Aspinall uploaded a reaction video to his YouTube channel where he shared his thoughts on the card and addressed the moment where his name unexpectedly came up during Dana White's media session. In the clip, White is seen being asked directly if there are updates on Aspinall's condition. White responds carefully, joking that the topic of Aspinall's eye has almost become a sensitive subject. He admitted that he doesn't currently have enough information to provide a concrete update. He briefly suggested that Aspinall could be undergoing a second medical procedure, possibly involving injections rather than surgery, but ultimately acknowledged that he was unsure about the exact situation. Aspinall took the moment with humor. Reacting to the clip, he joked that he was catching strays despite not even competing on the card. He laughed about how strange it felt to hear himself brought up unexpectedly while watching the event from home. Despite the lighthearted tone, the situation remains unclear. At this time, there is still no official confirmation regarding Aspinall's health status or timeline for return. The most recent information suggests that another procedure may be part of the recovery process. Until clarity is provided, fans remain in a waiting game, hopeful that the heavyweight contender will return fully healthy and back in the octagon soon. Meanwhile, Arman Tsarukyan has sparked debate after sharing his brutally honest opinion on Paddy Pimblett's performance following his loss to Justin Gaethje. In the aftermath of the bout, Tsarukyan appeared genuinely puzzled by Pimblett's approach and did not hesitate to express his thoughts both online and during media interviews. Soon after the fight, Tsarukyan reacted on social media, questioning Pimblett's decision-making and overall strategy against a veteran like Gaethje. His comments quickly gained traction, with fans debating whether Pimblett had entered the matchup with the wrong game plan. Tsarukyan later expanded on those thoughts in an interview with Megan Olivi, offering an even more direct critique. According to Tsarukyan, he struggled to understand what Pimblett was trying to accomplish inside the cage. He pointed out that Pimblett seemed determined to trade on the feet with Gaethje, despite being at a clear disadvantage in that department, while also failing to commit to his wrestling and grappling. In Tsarukyan's view, Pimblett ended up stuck between two strategies, never fully committing to either, which ultimately cost him. While acknowledging Pimblett's toughness and durability, Tsarukyan emphasized that heart alone is not enough at the elite level of the lightweight division. He went further, describing the performance as ineffective and noting that Pimblett was repeatedly hurt throughout the fight without ever establishing consistent control or momentum. From his perspective, the bout exposed serious gaps in Pimblett's readiness when matched with top-tier competition. His remarks have only added fuel to the ongoing discussion about Pimblett's ceiling in the division. While Pimblett remains one of the UFC's most popular figures, skepticism among elite lightweights appears to be growing. Dana White also addressed the future of Arman Tsarukyan during the post-fight press conference, offering a glimpse into what could be next for the rising lightweight contender. When asked about Tsarukyan's timeline, White suggested that fans will likely see him compete on an upcoming card leading into the much-discussed White House event. While no official matchup or date has been confirmed, White's comments suggest that Tsarukyan remains firmly in the UFC's short-term plans. The conversation also shifted toward fan frustration, with many believing Tsarukyan was overlooked for the recent interim title opportunity. A reporter acknowledged this sentiment and asked White whether he had spoken with Tsarukyan directly, especially considering that Tsarukyan was present at the event. White downplayed the interaction, explaining that their exchange was brief and limited to greetings. There was no deeper discussion about his next fight. When pressed further on whether Tsarukyan was already placed on one of the upcoming cards, White admitted he wasn't certain. He explained that most cards are already structured, and he could not immediately confirm whether Tsarukyan was officially slotted, though he suggested it was likely. Overall, White's comments indicate that while nothing is finalized, the UFC still views Tsarukyan as an important piece of the lightweight picture and that a high-profile return is likely on the horizon. Dustin Poirier may not be as retired as many fans once assumed, although the Diamond officially stepped away last summer in a moment that celebrated his legendary career. Recent online exchanges have reignited speculation that he could return. Following Justin Gaethje's win at UFC 324, debate began circulating online about where Gaethje now ranks among the greatest lightweights. MMA personality Kevin Lee shared a controversial take on Instagram, suggesting Gaethje's resume may now surpass Poirier's. The post quickly gained attention, prompting responses from fans and fighters alike. Former UFC fighter Josh Thompson joined the discussion and suggested that Poirier should return for one final fight to settle unfinished business with Gaethje. It didn't take long for Poirier himself to notice the conversation. In response, he posted a short but impactful message stating that he would be willing to come back for that fight. That single comment instantly reignited talk of a potential trilogy. The idea of booking Gaethje versus Poirier again is nothing new. Their previous battles remain among the most memorable fights in UFC history, and a third chapter would undoubtedly generate massive interest. However, whether such a fight would fit into the rumored White House card remains uncertain. Still, Poirier's response makes one thing clear: the door may not be fully closed. Once again, it raises the familiar question in MMA: does retirement ever truly mean retirement? A heated online rivalry has also erupted between Joshua Van and Manel Kape following UFC 324. What began as a casual social media jab has quickly escalated into a full-blown war of words that now has the flyweight division watching closely. Joshua Van initially made a sarcastic comment after Charles Johnson, the only fighter to defeat Van in the UFC, was stopped by Alex Perez on the undercard. Van implied that a rematch with Johnson no longer made sense. That comment immediately caught the attention of Manel Kape, who responded with frustration. Kape argued that Van's rise came under unusual circumstances, claiming Van received opportunities while Kape was sidelined with injury. He dismissed the idea of Van needing any rematch and instead turned his focus directly toward Van, calling for a fight and stating that he would only need 4 weeks to prepare. Van responded quickly, accusing Kape of avoiding the fight when it was originally offered. He challenged Kape publicly and made it clear he was not intimidated. With insults now exchanged on both sides, tension has escalated rapidly. Adding to the intrigue is the current state of the flyweight division, with champion Alexandre Pantoja not expected to return until later in the year. Many believe Van and Kape are now on a collision course, and if booked, this matchup would carry serious personal stakes. Natalia Silva has firmly placed herself in the women's flyweight title conversation after stepping up on short notice and defeating former champion Rose Namajunas at UFC 324. The risk paid off, and Silva delivered a composed performance that earned her a unanimous decision victory. Speaking after the fight, Silva revealed that she was told directly that accepting the bout against Namajunas would secure her a title shot if she won. She explained that she didn't have to accept the short-notice fight, but did so based on that promise. Silva also addressed the situation surrounding Alexa Grasso's injury, stating that while she understands circumstances change, she still fulfilled her end of the agreement. Silva later added a personal element to her call-out. She noted that her birthday falls on February 3rd and suggested that receiving a title fight against Valentina Shevchenko on the White House card would be the perfect birthday gift. She emphasized how meaningful that moment would be for both her career and the sport. Dana White was later asked directly whether Silva was next in line. He confirmed that she had indeed been told she would receive a title opportunity if she won. That confirmation alone has fueled anticipation for what could be one of the most intriguing women's title matchups in recent memory. Meanwhile, Justin Gaethje's interim lightweight title win has sparked both praise and concern, especially when discussing a potential future matchup with Ilia Topuria. Former champion Robert Whittaker shared his thoughts on the situation, suggesting that Gaethje would need to make serious adjustments if he were to face Topuria. Speaking on the MMA Arcade podcast, Whittaker praised Topuria's striking timing, counterability, and overall fight IQ. He also highlighted Topuria's grappling as an underrated threat. Describing him as one of the most complete fighters in the sport today, Whittaker made it clear that the version of Gaethje who fought Paddy Pimblett would not be enough to overcome Topuria. He stressed that evolution would be required, not just toughness. Concerns have also been raised regarding the damage Gaethje absorbed in his recent bout. He reportedly took over 150 significant strikes, which has led fans to question how his defense would hold up against a more precise and powerful striker. Gaethje, for his part, has remained composed. When asked about potential opponents, he stated that he leaves film study and strategy to his coaches and doesn't spend time speculating. During the post-fight press conference, he also suggested that the landscape could change entirely before the White House card, hinting that the undisputed title picture could look very different by then. At the same time, the spotlight remains on Paddy Pimblett. Despite showing heart, his loss has reignited criticism about whether he was rushed into elite competition. Demetrius Johnson echoed similar concerns, pointing out that Pimblett didn't lean into his grappling strengths early enough and instead waited until he was already hurt before attempting takedowns. Gaethje's victory opens massive possibilities for the division, but the message from many voices in the MMA world is clear. If Ilia Topuria is next, evolution, not just toughness, will determine what happens next.